did that when we did it with the Disney, when we signed up for the timeshare. They had something there. And they were like, oh, do you have your ID? Like, get your kid shot. And I'm like, because like, I went for my license with me. And I was like, luckily my husband had his college. Because I was like, yeah, like.
I got your message. I just got it today. When did you call? Which night was it? Was it Thursday night or was it? Okay. Okay. Did you say you did call?
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. And we request all those wishing to speak be recognized to state your name and address directly to the microphone. The recording device to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of the minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchinson?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
He's on vacation.
Mrs. Stubbs? Present. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Young?
On vacation.
Mrs. Strato? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Lackner?
Here.
Chief Earl?
Deputy Chief Harkins.
Deputy Chief Harkins? Mr. Carlier?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
CFO Christiana?
Here.
Thank you. We'll now have our first public portion. Our public portion is for agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Yes, sir. Sorry to point.
That's okay. Name's Frederick White, 40 Prospect Avenue, Sicklerville, New Jersey, Uriel section, Gloucester Township. I just received a letter stating that my gas company has been, or electric company has been switched again.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Okay.
White.
White? That's not an agenda item.
Oh, I thought you
We have a second public portion, which you can speak on any item. Okay, you'll be the first up. Okay? Mr. Brown?
David Brown, Mulberry Station. I was looking at Resolution 1608-236 with the turf fields.
Yes.
We're adding more money to getting the fields done. What is the reasoning for this?
There was a change order that dealt with the configuration of the fields at Hickstown Park, Gloucester Township Park. Originally, that field was supposed to be a lacrosse.
Well,
They flip-flopped them.
the change order affects all the fields.
Yes,
The
okay.
two, which I call A and B, are the fields at Gloucester Township Community Park. One is a football field closest to Beaver Gym, and the other is an adjacent soccer field. Both of those fields, the as-built, were smaller than they needed for construction. So they had to expand on the as-built, and that's the reason for the change order, because they needed more of the surfacing and more of the concrete curbing that goes around it. That's what those two items are. On the TBAA field, the valuable field, the same thing occurred. When they got out there, the as-bills were smaller than what they needed, and so they had to expand the surface of the turf and the concrete border. On the lacrosse and the field hockey field, which is at Gloucester Township Community Park, that was originally set out as a soccer field. So that field became smaller when it became a field hockey and lacrosse field. So that's a reduction on this change order. So you have additions on A and B and on the Valley Brook field, and deletes on the lacrosse and field hockey field.
So with a net of $5,076.85.
Correct.
And they didn't come out and look at all this before they gave a bid on it and all that, and have that configured in?
The plan showed smaller on the 3 fields than what needed to be put out there.
The plans that we gave them, or
The plans that were originally designed. Once the contractor got out and said, wait a minute, here's something different on the plan, I think we need to look at this. What came about was a change order to increase the sizing on it, nominally, because it's not that much in terms of the size of the original fields. And then on the lacrosse, it was clear that they had to reduce it because it was no longer going to be a soccer field.
okay, and I know it was brought up to the council about why not using these funds to do the Field of Dreams. And I didn't really get to hear why the reasoning not doing the Field of Dreams with this money.
There is a existing softball field that is at the Valley Brook complex, that additional turf was put on there. In some internal discussions and discussions with, in fact, we shared with Rotary as well, because Rotary is holding about $137,000 that was raised for Field of Dreams. There was some thought about having that particular softball field dedicated for Field of Dreams. There will be some ADA improvements there to ensure that our players will be able to access that field, because the amount of money that we would have to incur on the Field of Dreams at Gloucester Township Community Park would probably lead to us having to bond, correct, or a capital.
You'd have to put it out of your general capital fund, therefore, it would no longer be funded by the open space tax.
I know that was a publicity thing 5 years ago, going out there and shoveling the dirt, saying this was going to happen, and it hasn't happened. And I know it was brought up because these special needs kids still haven't been able to play.
Well, when we designed the softball field, which is at Valley Brook, and is attached to the one big turf field, which consists of a large soccer field and a practice field, that softball field, which is turf, we made sure that everything that was done on that was handicapped accessible and handicapped compliant. So that field can be adapted to use as a Field of Dreams.
And have they started a league or anything out there?
I can't tell you that, I don't know.
Because I know I've got a friend whose child is cystic fibrosis, so they can't play on any fields around here. She started school 7 years ago. There were 16 people in her class. There's 2 left now. She's 16 years old, so average per year, 2 kids pass away. So since we started this Field of Dreams, 1 whole team has passed away. And my question is, would it have been different up there if one of y'all had a special needs child? And would y'all have gotten this field taken care of? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
That's Pete Heinball, Morningstar Court. Just to follow up with this change order question. So that work that will be voted on today, that work has already been completed, basically, right? Those fields are done and being used, so that work is completed. So this vote is just for the record, I guess, then, right? I see on the agenda, there's a new planning board appointee, Jacqueline McFarland. Is this a midterm replacement on the planning board, or is this a?
I believe there was, I'm no longer on the planning board, but I believe there was an existing alternate too that was, Mr. Lechner's here, that was open for over a year or so, correct?
That's correct.
So this gives a planning board a full board. The planning board appointment is the mayor's appointment with the consent of council.
Right. Okay, so this is to fill an open position, okay.
Yes.
Resolution 239. What is broker of record health? What is that?
for health benefits. Tom, you want to add to that?
Yeah, a broker of record is a firm that works with the township to obtain the various quotes and bids for different types of health insurance. They work to help resolve any issues. They set up programs to assist the employees and the participants in the program, and basically they act on behalf of the township to make sure everything goes well. And as you know, we have a self-funded plan here, so it's a little more complicated.
So this broker would not provide any insurance benefits or medical benefits, they're just brokers to obtain, okay. Who's the incumbent with that?
That would be Connor Strong.
And why is this advertised like mid-year like this instead of at the reorg meeting with the rest of the contracts?
Because it's what the timing of that contract is. We cannot change that because we're self-funded. It has always been a November 1st renewal, and to change it is very complex because of what they call claims run out.
Okay.
And I've attempted to put it on a calendar year basis, but I just can't do it.
All right. So this has always been put out for bid this time of year?
It has.
Okay. And how was this bid awarded last year and in prior years? The same method? We put an advertisement on the website? Is that what we do?
It was a 3-year award. You're permitted under the state procurement statute, award for a 3-year period for this type of service.
So for this one, we'll put we'll post it on the website and wait for bids to come in from the posting on the Gloucester Township website. Is that what we're doing? How long does it stay on the website?
At least a minimum of 10 days.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Polidori.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro, Ariel.
Good evening.
And following up on Resolution 1608-236, the field requiring another additional $5,100 just about. Is that being borrowed or bonded?
Is it allowed?
You're borrowing that money? We're bonding that money?
It's coming from the money that we raised through the issuance of a bond, fully funded from the recreation open space account.
Okay. Who was the engineering firm that started the plans on this? Pettit? What did we pay Pettit to do that?
I don't have those figures.
Who was the architect on that?
I don't know. There wasn't
Pettit.
an architect.
Would it be safe to assume that we paid them over $5,100 to do their job?
I would say so, yeah.
Did the township think about going back to those that designed this for the shortcomings to ask them if they could offset that cost instead of borrowing money?
No.
In other words, when somebody doesn't do their job and they come up short, someone makes up for it and can't keep, instead of going back to the till and the people, did we consider or even ask them, you're off a little bit, I'm sure they got enough that $5,100 wouldn't be much.
Right, most of our engineering projects have change orders. Most of our street projects have change orders. And this is a $3 million project, and you're talking about a $5,000 change order.
That seems like pocket change to some of the places.
Seems like what I see a lot. I see that a lot.
Maybe we could look for a little bit more efficient ways or companies that do a little bit better job. Everything I understand can be changed. You can't look at something through, over your thumb and through a square that things will change. But you said that this is common. Maybe the people that we're hiring are not doing that good a job because they're getting a lot of money to do so.
I believe it happens all over with other towns, other municipalities, other MUAs. Big jobs like that have changes.
Can't we be a little better than the
One
rest?
question, just a clarification on that. The changes that are made, had the designs been in line with the change orders, it's my understanding we would have spent the extra $5,000 anyway. Am I wrong or right on that?
I don't know because I'm not the engineer. I don't know what the engineer saw and the contractor saw when they went out there that made them decide that the A and B field would need some expansion and that the Valley Brook would need some expansion, and clearly on the lacrosse and the field hockey, it's a different type of field. So when you compared to a soccer field, there's a reduction.
I mean, where I'm going with that is, if we're making the field bigger because it needs to be bigger, and we would be utilizing extra materials, we would have been doing so anyway. And if we were reducing the size of the field, which is creating a decrease in the costs, you understand? Am I making myself clear or not? I apologize, I'm not an engineer. I'm just thinking maybe that the additional 5,000 would have been incurred anyway.
That almost sounds ridiculous to ask, because you're coming to us for another $5,000. We're going to pay that bond. You, as well, will be paying that bond. If you would have spent it and it was already in the cost, there's a big difference. Why this doesn't sit well with me, once again, as was spoken of earlier, and you know that I'm very passionate about, the Field of Dreams is not an entire field. Majority of the Field of Dream constitutes the infield, and just past the infield. It's a solid base field. I know that some council members that are sitting here today went down to Absecon to see the Field of Dreams in Absecon. Did you see it completed?
I didn't go down to Absecon.
Okay. I've been to Absecon.
I went to the Field of Dreams over in Deptford, behind Gloucester County Special Services. And the field that is there and the field that some of these other Field of Dreams are very similar to the turf that we have at Valley Grove.
The Field of Dreams that's down in Absecon is a complete flat surface. There's no dirt. It goes from the artificial turf green to the artificial turf, which would look like the red clay for the baselines. It's a field that would only encompass majority of the infield. The outer part of the field is grass. I still am bothered that you couldn't do that field, and then you come to us for more money to complete the field that you chose to do anyway. That just bothers the heck out of me that you're asking for more money, and I believe for the cost that would have come into budget, that Field of Dreams could have been done this year. Mr. Brown emphasized something a little more strongly than I did about kids that won't have an opportunity every single year that goes by that you're not doing this field. And I really hope that this field doesn't come about at an opportune time, because that's not fair. And one last question for Mr. Cardis, and I probably will be done for the night. You say that it's a common practice that changes are made and you got to come either within our cost one way or a cost in bonding and borrowing for extra money for changes. How many times would you say out of 10 do you get a project that comes in under budget and we get to get money, and where does that money go if it does? And can you remember the last time any job come in under budget?
I can't specifically, but there are many, many cases where projects come in under budget, particularly with the street program, streets and road program.
Stormwater management.
Stormwater management. Now, stormwater management is NJEIT in the state, so we take advantage of low-interest loans. I think they're 2% loans. And so in those cases, you're required to reduce the amount that you're borrowing, and that's what you do with those. With regular general obligation bonds, like we would do with streets, we have money left over. We either do other streets, move it to another line item, we do something else, or we cancel it.
Because Ms. Carr, I believe, asked you at one point why money couldn't carry over. If you've got $60,000 left from one project, why it couldn't be used on another. And I think you made something clear as to when it's appropriated for one thing, it can't be used for another.
It's not true. I did not state that. What you're talking about is two different funds. You're talking about the general operating fund, and you're talking about the general capital fund. General capital stays in place. You bond that money, put a note. If you have a note, you have to roll that note over, or you permanently finance that note. But that capital money stays in there in perpetuity until you're either forced by the auditor to do something with it, or you decide to do something with it.
When you say do something with it?
In the general fund, when the year ends, it runs a 12-month cycle of reserves. And you cannot use money in the general fund that was set aside for a specific project unless you clearly transfer those monies over and that project was stated in the original budget.
On the first of two, it's use it or lose it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Mrs. Love.
Good evening, Shelley Lovett, 742 Chatham Road, Broadmoor. Question, exactly how much was the bond for that you went out for the turf fields?
$2,952,000.
Is all that money being used towards the fields, or is,
Yes.
okay. How much money for, of the open space tax has gone towards the field? Because I heard you saying that money from open space was also used.
Well, it's, let me try to explain it. So when we took the bond ordinance out for $2,952,000, that was taken out with the language in the bond ordinance that said that the money that will go to pay this bond off, principal and interest, will come from the recreation open space account.
Okay, so, do you know how much money you have left in the open space account now? How much money is there?
I'd venture a guess, 25, 30,000.
So on our new tax bills, is there an open space tax, and how much is that open space tax?
That will generate roughly $850,000 starting January 1st.
So in actuality, on our new tax bills, we're being taxed for the turf fields.
It's part of the open space tax.
Because I know in previous years, when taxes have gone up, we've reduced the open space tax so that people didn't feel that, that big bang that they're getting now. Did anybody consider doing that?
I don't think we've done it. We haven't done it, Shelley, since you were on council. Even when you were on council, we didn't do it.
I think we did do it on council. We reduced.
No, not when you and I got on in '05. We did it, not once.
I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I'm just asking. I'm just saying that because at the last meeting, the comment was made that we're not really paying for the turf fields on this tax bill, when in fact we probably are because of the open space tax. And how much is the open space tax now?
2 cents.
2 cents. Okay. One last question. Any of the fields that were replaced with turf fields are now, were there sprinkler systems there prior? So we ripped up all the money we put in for sprinkler systems to put turf down?
We had to remove the sprinkler system.
You had to. Okay, thank you.
We did save all the heads. Whatever we could salvage, we saved.
Do you remember how much that sprinkler system cost offhand? Just,
It was installed a while ago.
a while ago. Okay,
But we did save all the heads.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Carr?
Joanne Carr, Timber Birch. Good evening. About the open space and the, how long will it take us to pay for the bond?
Before
For
you go
the-
to that, is this on an agenda item? Or you want to
Well, you
reference
were
the
talking
resolution?
about the turf.
Okay, so you're making reference to resolution
Yes.
236, okay.
I'm sorry, yes. Now, you're saying we're going to pay for it through open space. How long do we anticipate paying off those fields?
11 years.
11 years. And what's the life expectancy of these fields?
I couldn't tell you that, Joey.
I thought it was,
It has to be at least 10 or 11 because that's how you
10 was the
determine,
minimum?
that's how you determine the maturity.
What percentage of the open space monies that we're using is going to be used for this turf? Because I know we use open space to cut the grass in our different parks and to buy other things. What percentage of our open space tax is used for the turf?
I would say, there's really two areas of bonds that need to be paid from the open space. One is the construction of the hockey rinks, which we've talked about in the past. And then these fields at the $2,952,000 combined, I know there were about 450,000 of the 850,000 we raised.
Okay, so about half of it.
About half of the money has to be committed to debt service, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stein?
Michael Van Stein, 310 Lower Landing Road in Blackwood. As Council President Mercado knows well, I'm president this year of our township's Rotary Club, and I just want to remind, in case everybody forgot, that in alignment with the Rotary Club, we have a Rotary Foundation, and we raised approximately $80,000 for Field of Dreams. Now, I believe the foundation board passed one or two resolutions, putting some covenants in place for that to protect the donors, some of whom donated a significant amount of money towards that total. But please don't forget that these dollars are available in alignment with the public dollars that are going into Field of Dreams. So where there are some funding shortfall issues here or there, we really need to have some conversation on that, because I know the president of the foundation board has had a little bit of angst that the money's been sitting in this suspense account for some time. So we kind of need to loosen that up and make sure that we have that in alignment with the plans for the project.
Mike, when we received the balance on it, it was $137,000 total. It is probably our anticipation to use that fund for ADA improvements over at the Valley Brook Fields, where that turf field, softball field, or baseball field is located. So we will be contacting you very shortly.
I'm sure. I just wanted to remind.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Brown?
Just on something that was brought up that I didn't know. You said that we're going to be paying for it for 11 years for the bond,
Yes.
and the life expectancy is 10 years?
I'm guessing, but I.
What kind of ignorance is this,
No, that is not-
that we're going to be paying for something longer than its life expectancy?
Not the case. That's not the case. The duration, the maturity schedule of the bond would be based on the useful life as calculated by the state of New Jersey in their procurement statute. They have a number of items in there, whether it be a four-wheel drive vehicle, a roadway, a building, that sets the schedule. That is, you go right down to the line item, see what you're gonna do, and it tells you how many years the useful life is. I don't know that these fields are having useful life in 10 years. They may be beyond 10 years. It's just you have to maintain the field. You have to fix it when problems occur. You have to rebuild.
We've used these fields down south, and they don't last 10 years.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
Why didn't we investigate that before we did this?
We did the fields and we set the bond schedule to pay for those fields based on the maturity schedule. The plan is we're out these fields for a lot longer than 10 years. We have equipment to maintain the fields. We have personnel that are going to maintain the fields. We're going to buy the supplies to maintain the fields. And if the fabric gets ripped, we're going to repair it. We're going to do all the things that need to be done to keep these fields operational.
We're going to repair it, or are we going to have to go back into bond again to do this again in 10, 15 years?
The repairs would come from the operating budget.
Okay. All right. So the operating budget is already in, the maintenance budget is already in with this 2.9 million.
No, it's not. That's the amount of money we bonded to complete the project.
Okay, so the maintenance is on top of that we haven't got yet.
Yes, it would come out of the additional money, so that's correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand, we're overtaxed already. It's terrible. And you're saying, well, this is going to happen again. Quit using Band-Aids and start fixing the stuff the first time.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Dennis Geller, 417 Hampton Lane. I just wanted to address you guys again from what that gentleman said. Nobody thought of the life term of this. Even, I mean, most times when they get it redone, it's 10 years. That's just regular. We have a bond for how many years was it? 11?
I believe it's 11.
But I'm just.
No, those questions were asked as far as the duration or the time period of it. I recall from our engineer, from our meetings, 10 to 15 years on the field.
Okay, so, but we're going to be taxed for 11 years. So if it goes out at 10, we just spent $2.9 million before repair costs. Is that correct?
We have to maintain.
But I'm saying, but we haven't budgeted for maintenance either. So we're going to hire more people to budget to
Grass
maintain.
field, we maintain grass fields.
But it's a whole other ball field. People would get specialized training and whatnot, correct?
So what?
They would need specialized training to maintain the turf fields, correct?
They're getting that. That's
Okay.
under the agreement.
So that's include that, because you said that 2.9 was only including the field of turf.
The training and the equipment to maintain the field were included in the money that we bought.
Okay, so all the equipment was bought with that 2.9. Okay. Wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Minutes.
Waive the reading and accept the minutes of regular meeting July 25th, 2016, and workshop August 1st, 2016.
I entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
So Second?
On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Appointments.
Jacqueline McFarlane as planning board alternate number 2 from August 8th, 2016 to December 31st, 2018.
Excuse me. Next, we have a resolutions consent agenda. Any council member would like to move any of the items, please speak up. Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to move the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 240, resolution authorizing renewal of retail consumption liquor license.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. We did not receive any GTE Gov access emails. We'll now have our second public portion. With our public portion, each speaker is allotted 5 minutes of time. There's 30 minutes for the time period for our second public portion. All I ask that anyone that makes comments tonight, please be respectful of others, of their thoughts and ideas and opinions. And please refrain from any outbursts or shouting out from the audience. So with that being said, anyone who would like, yes, Kelly. Do you mind, Ms. Kelly? Mr. White, okay. Ms. Kelly, come on back. Sorry about that, Mr. White.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Dorset Kelly from the Cornerstone Ridge Run. As you know, I've been coming before you in reference to the concerns we have with the noise emanating from the Valari's Tiki Bar. I wanted to just follow up to let you know that we did have the mediation, which was scheduled on last Monday. I understand due to the confidentiality of that mediation, I'm not able to talk to the specifics of that time together, but I will say that it was not very successful, and I'll leave it at that. And in particular, one of the items that we did agree upon on that Monday was violated the very next day on Tuesday. So this, again, gives you some idea of the unwillingness of the proprietor to work with us in terms of trying to get this matter resolved. I did receive the email today, the mayor stating that you all are working on some things as well. The only thing I wanted to mention about that is that he specifically said he's not sure if some of these items will work. I'm not sure what that means. I would like to ask through that process if perhaps some of the residents could be involved as you're putting together these proposals or the new ordinance as well, so that again we can share with you specifically some of the concerns and that the work would not be in vain, so that if you're proposing something that we know from experience will not work, we'd like to address that ahead of time.
Absolutely, we'll include you. Can we use you as the point person, Ms. Kelly?
If my
Is that
neighbors
fine?
agree, I think that would be fine, yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. White.
Thank you. Again, Fred White, 40 Prospect Avenue, Sequoia, New Jersey. Just received a letter from the Atlantic Electric Company. It's dated July 25th. I received it on the 29th. I was supposed to respond by August 1st about the township has authorized a service company to take over my electric bill. Why?
Okay, we engage into a program called a Government Energy Aggregation Program. It allows us, we partnered with Winslow Township and the Borough of Somerdale to provide an energy aggregation program where it would combine and leverage energy purchasing power of 36,000 residents of the 3 different communities. This is a program that's allowed under the state of New Jersey. It's governed by the Board of Public Utilities and also the Department of Community Affairs. And it's the supply side of your electric bill. So if you take a look at your Atlantic City electric bill, and you see the supply side of that, the rate that is provided is a guaranteed rate that would stay at the same rate for the next 14 months. In order to participate in this program, there has to be a savings to the homeowner in order for us to engage into that particular contract. So this was a discussion that we've had roughly for 2 years, and we finally were able to receive bids that were that provided a supply to the consumer at under the market rate. So you have the option to opt out. You do not have to participate in it if this is not something you wish to participate in.
Have you ever used any of these companies?
No, I have not. However, with a municipality of close to 70,000 people, in addition to Winslow and Summerdale, there is a safety net for you. I know that, Mr. White, there are people that have gone out on their own and received power that's supplied to electricity, and they did not have a positive experience with that. In this case, you have a safety net for 14 months. Prior to that, we'll go out to rebid this before that sunsets. And if there isn't a savings, then you go back to your regular rate that you receive from Atlantic City Electric for your power supply.
Okay, well, involved in this whole thing, these so-called companies that are supposed to save me money have all cost me money. And I finally got hold of this company today. They're in Texas. Atlantic Electric's in Hamilton. I can go there and argue with them. I can't run to Texas. And on the website it says that they're going to save me $100 a year. Within 3 months, their so-called savings is gone, and it's overpriced. You're saying that there's going to be 14 months of savings? Who could prove that?
Okay, the rate can't change, sir. So how did it cost you $100 in 3 months?
No. It says they're going to save me $100 over the year.
Okay. Your question is?
My question is how are they going to save me $100 when the rate goes up?
So
You're telling me the rate's going to stay at 14 months.
Your rate is locked in for the next 14 months.
At what rate?
Your rate, I'll give it to you right now, sir. You are Atlantic City Electric?
Yes.
All right, that's Tri-Eagle. It's 0.09782 cents per kilowatt hour.
What's that again?
0.09782.
Okay, and what's the rate with Atlantic Electric?
Couldn't tell you that, but I'll tell you.
I believe it's 1011.
You have 1011?
Yeah.
So that's less than what you pay.
I just got out of one of these things that I did not authorize personally. It's cost me over $900 to get out of it.
So some of these companies do just what he said. They bait and switch. We have specifications that were put together by the consultant that we use, which is Good Energy, and that safeguards us and you from them making those switches and making those changes. There were many more.
I've been involved in 3 of these companies, and not one of them saved me a dime.
And you know what? It could be one of those companies we just named. It could be Con Ed. It could be Tri-Eagle. They can't do that to us because of the specifications that they have to, that they're bound by.
Okay, so they're going to keep me at this rate of 9.7?
Yes, for the next 14 months.
Cannot change.
How do I get a guarantee of that? Is there a resolution?
We have a written contract, sir.
Can you send me a copy of that?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Okay. You can provide your address to the clerk up here. Come on up. So, do you have solar?
No.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. In the suspenders.
Good evening, thank you, council members. I live at the Courts of Stonebridge Run also. I guess that's one thing that I'm thinking.
I need your name and your address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Robert DeLynge, 608 Tanglewood Drive.
Good evening, Robert.
I guess that my concern is, in conjunction with Ms. Kelly's, is that this has been going on for a couple years and there has been no permanent resolution. What we do is we start this at the beginning of every spring, goes through the summer, comes the fall, the music stops because nothing has been done, but it's out of season. And so I guess that I'm looking for something that's maybe a little more permanent, as well as like on Thursday night when the music was totally out of control. The walls were shaking. The policeman came to our house, agreed that it was loud, but there was nothing they could do because the noise meter was out being repaired. In the past, when we would call, at least they'd go over and let them know that a complaint was lodged. So I guess I don't know exactly what we could do in the interim until something is done. And, well, as you know, we're having a meeting with the mayor and something could be put in place.
Robert, up until, I guess, 2 months ago, about a month and a half before Ms. Kelly was here, I as a body, we weren't aware that there was issues with sound at Valari's, something that I know that you've tried to go through the mediation process. I had asked our solicitor, and our solicitor informed me today he's waiting on some ordinances from other municipalities that had similar noise ordinances. Anything to add to that, Dave?
No, nothing has come in yet, but we do have a meeting with the administration, the mayor's office, other than the meeting next week.
It's not moving as quickly as you want, I understand, but we have to take all matters into consideration. We want to get some additional information on this and come to some type of common ground.
I think your point, Robert, is that you don't want to see the season end, come to the winter, no change, and then you're fighting from, next spring when they start opening up the music, right?
Square one, yes.
So I think it's an excellent point, and I think that we need to keep the pedal to the metal in terms of trying to find a resolution to this, despite the fact that the noise is going to go away in the winter.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Good evening, council and attendees. My name is Jasper Lucas, and I also am a resident at 401 Tanglewood Drive, Stonebridge Run. Just as a follow-up to what Ms. Kelly said, we went to this mediation hearing at the suggestion of the judge in hopes of finding some sort of a reasonable resolution to this problem. It seems like Valari's has shown a blatant disregard for the law in that sense. Furthermore, when we attended the mediation hearing, and I know that we're bound by confidentiality not to divulge any specifics about it, the mediator wouldn't even give us his name, like not even his first name. He gave his initials, JB. I guess maybe that stood for James Bond, maybe that's why he couldn't tell us. I mean, so it didn't really give us a whole lot of confidence in what the mediation proceedings, were going to bring forth.
Jasper, can you tell, where did that mediation take place? Here?
Yeah.
It took place here?
Yeah.
In the courtroom. And in the courtroom?
In the courtroom. So, basically all this to say is that just the level of frustration is just, getting sky high at this point. I mean, the very next day, as Ms. Kelly pointed out, after we had agreed upon specifics in this mediation hearing, the very things that we agreed upon, they did, like the next day. I complained personally about, the PA system, the DJ's loud voice over the PA system. The very next day, I walk into my house and the PA system, the DJ's blaring over the PA system. So it just seems to me like they just, have no regard whatsoever for the legal process and no regard for our rights as residents.
When, Mr. Lucas, when they went to mediation, did they have an attorney present? Were they represented by legal
No,
counsel?
no, it was
Okay.
just the owner and his brother, that's it.
Okay. Mr. Carlin, Mayor, when they have a mediation like this, where does the mediator come from?
Usually it's selected between the parties. Are you represented by an attorney, your group? Where you were before, was it Township's Court or Superior Court? Township's Court.
This is a result of the local ordinance that was issued by the police department several months ago, the mediation, so it's all municipal court.
Okay. This strikes as a little unusual that the mediator would not identify him or herself.
It struck us as unusual too. Now, tomorrow, Ms. Kelly and myself are going to be attending a constituents fair where we hope to meet Congressman Norcross. So, maybe, what we can do is talk to him about how maybe we can resolve this problem at the voting booth. Because it doesn't seem like any of the other solutions that have been proposed to us are working out at this point.
You're more than welcome to do that, sir, but again, I had asked for copies of ordinances from outside of our community, and I know this process is not moving as fast as you'd like it to, and you have to endure loud music at all times, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in your community. But we're looking to make sure that we get this right. So not stonewalling, not delaying anything. We try to go the mediation route. We try to have our community policing folks deal with this issue as well, and it seems as if it's not helping the situation. So we're going to look at other avenues.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming out this evening. Yes, sir.
Good evening, members of council and anyone else here. My name is Cloyd Kelly. I'm the husband of Dorset Kelly, 504 Tanglewood Drive.
Good evening.
Good evening. I just want to give you my side and just information where I heard that council didn't know about the things that we brought about Valaris. I work in healthcare. I have to cross the bridge every day. I got to get up very early in the morning. I come home to be with my wife. We want to sit down, have a nice dinner. I want to open my patio door. I want to relax. 7 nights a week, this Valari is banging. He only gets a break if weather's permitting. We'll get a break. But 7 nights a week. This season, he seems to have started around March. He's going to carry that on into October. He keeps going as long as the weather permits it. He'll keep going. And this Sunday, 5 bands. They started at a little after 12. We usually go to church on Sunday. Haven't been feeling well this Sunday. So I try to stay home and relax. A little after 12 o'clock, it started. You can hear the drummer practicing, getting ready. From then on in until a little after 8 at night. This is on a Sunday. I'm asking for a day of rest, at least, on a Sunday. When you consider what you're going to consider as far as what we can do, what can be done, I understand the ordinance as far as pixels are concerned, 65 or whatever they may be. I understand about businesses and residential cohabitating in the same neighborhood. Where we live at on Sicklerville Road, 90%, maybe 95 residential. You know the area. Valari's has been there. It's been a nice restaurant, a place to have a wedding. Very nice music on Saturdays. Years ago, we've been in the community since '98, and we listen to the music, the weddings on Saturdays. Very nice. Then it was over, and it was nice to sit out on the deck I can't open the doors or the windows now because of it. I'm not going to be able to do that until the winter time. I'm not going to open my door in the winter. I want to be able to do that. And I'm just trying to make you see and understand that in your neighborhoods, at your homes, you would probably want the same thing, but not 7 nights a week. So we got to come up with something, some kind of resolution. He's kicked the band back maybe an hour, and he ends at about 10. Some nights it's been fine. You know, he lowered the volume. The band stopped at 10 o'clock. DJ sometimes would come on. He's a little loud. We tolerate it at times, but other times it just is too much. I mean, at a point when you're disgusted about something, you know, you deal with it for a while until it just becomes unbearable. Personal lives, you know, you experience that in your personal lives. Things that you deal with, children, at home, you know, whatever you have to deal with at home. Sometimes you have to control that, but you deal with it. But at some point, there's a boiling level, and you just got. And we call the police when that time comes up. We call the police. It's the only avenue that we have as far as having something legal on paper as far as the noise ordinance is concerned. The owner of Valari asked us not to call the police after we sat there in mediation. We said, that's not going to happen. If you abide by what we're asking you, then the police won't be called. He gives my wife a personal telephone. I said, don't call him. We call the police. You know, because we need this legally documented that they monitored the noise and that it was just excessive. And sometimes it had gone on after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. It's just unbearable. And like I said, I deal in healthcare, and I go in and I take care of patients every day, and I come home, I want to relax, I got to wind down. So, you know, I'm just asking what you're doing. We appreciate, you know, your time. We appreciate, you know, your listening, hearing us out. We know this may take time to alleviate some of the things that we have to deal with. Valari's is one business on a road of 95% residential. He says, I'm a business, I'm not going nowhere. Valari's is going to be here. We're 95% residential. We're not going anywhere either. So we have to have some part of that deal as well. What's written in the rules? It says commercial, residential. Where's the part of residential where we get the piece that we need? They talk about pixels, they talk about natural noise versus what Valari's doing. We don't hear the natural noise anymore. So I'm just asking for your help in that area. I got to deal with my wife when I come home. And I'm tired. She says, honey, that Valari's, doggone it, that Valari's. I said, honey, I understand. And she's relentless. She ain't going to stop, you know. And I appreciate her, you know, so I deal with and we're together on this. So I just ask for your help.
I hear your comments, and what I gather is you don't have a problem with their business. You don't have a problem with music. You love music. It's just that your quality of life is being affected here.
Absolutely.
And I get it. You want to come home and unwind and not have, you know, that bass drum or bass guitar,
Right.
You know, reverberating in your.
There was a time we come home, we hear the music, and we're dancing in the doorway. There was that time, you know, but that time is over now because we're being violated, you know, and it's just not.
Well, I can assure you, Mr. Kelly, we will involve your group in any discussions when we take a look at these ordinances and try to craft something that protects our residents from some of the noise that's occurring.
We would appreciate that. My main thing is asking for Sunday of peace, no noise. Sunday, one day. That's my thing, just one day. What happened to Sundays in our neighborhoods? You know, what happened to that? What happened to family, children, Sunday? Just getting
Remember
together.
the blue laws? When,
Yeah.
the stores were open?
You know, we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that. We could start it here in Gloucester Township. You know, we need to get back there. And these businesses that are coming around, I mean, I can understand the Black Horse Pike. We got Cross Keys. We got the White Horse Pike. You got a lot of businesses out there. You got the place in Deptford, what we call it, Adelphi's. They're in the right place, right there. They're on Main Strip. They're doing their thing. It's commercial, mostly. Cross Keys, commercial only. This Valari's is one little tiki bar that's making all this noise and all this mess. We got Wawa down the street. We need that. I want to get some gas. But these are the only two businesses on our stretch of road, which is a long stretch road. Everything is residential. Now we're just in the townhomes, but I understand there's some complaints from the single homes across the street from the parking lot. We haven't talked to them yet, but I don't know if you heard from them. But you know, we talk to different residents. Some people just don't have the time or whatever the reason. But this small group here, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep coming back because we need help. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Ms. Klein?
Hello, Patricia Klein, 1 La Jolla. Quick question. When Valari's created this tiki bar, was there any license, anything that they had to get prior to the tiki bar? And if they did, why would you grant them a license when you know they're going to have all this noise and there's a residential area right beside it? So what did they have to do to get the license, and why was it granted?
A license for liquor?
The tiki
or a
bar,
license for the tiki
to put this
bar?
tiki, because the tiki bar wasn't always up there.
I am not familiar with alcohol beverage control laws. I'll defer to Mr. Carlemere. But before I do that, I would imagine that when they went in front of zoning, Mr. Lechner, if you want to chime in, that there are certain limitations or things that they could do with their particular property.
Right.
Before I hand off to Mr. Carlemere, Mr. Lechner is our Director of Community Development. Ken, do you recall them ever coming to zoning board for expanding their property? I know with solar panels, they did that with the planning board, but with the tiki bar, do you recall anything that they had to appear before zoning?
Well, I looked at the block and lot, and it was approved. It was built in 1993, so it's been there for 20 years. But they had to go to the zoning board for that.
Which is the tiki bar. So they went to the zoning for the tiki bar, and the zoning approved it.
Not for a use variance, though, just for a setback variance.
Okay, so are you?
1993.
So that's when it was built. When was the deck? Was the deck constructed at the same time?
All concurrently.
Okay. All right, Mr. Carlemere. So that
Liquor license, their initial license was for a bar, and then they wanted to do outside service, they'd have to get through the state of New Jersey to place to place. They have to get a license to extend or to serve liquor on the outside. So I'm sure they have that.
We look into this.
Yeah.
Because I think right now the homeowners don't appear to have much leverage. And we need to make sure that everybody has enough information to maybe mediate it or resolve this thing.
The question I have, how long is the music, I mean, when we're talking 93, that we moved into the deck? I mean, it seems to have been a progression. So,
from our perspective.
Well, hold on. What? Ms.
Okay.
Klein?
Yes, I'm still
Is it?
on the floor.
Yeah, she's on the clock.
So yeah, because I noticed the other clock had stopped. It was 10 minutes. So Orlando, 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, it was 10 minutes. was it not? Yeah, it was 10 minutes. So Orlando, but I have another question, and we can address that too. We have a lot of concerns out there, and I know you represent the township, but where's the mayor? We haven't seen the mayor at any of our meetings here to answer some of these questions. We pay his salary. I know, Orlando, you keep telling me he's part-time. It doesn't matter whether he's part-time. Oh yes, I can pull it up. You said he doesn't have to be here because he's part-time. That's a poor excuse. He should be here because he's our mayor. We voted him, well, wait a minute. They voted him in for mayor, and he should be here answering questions of the people. Now, last meeting, I know we had some concerns with the taxes increasing. Mayor was not here. Today, we have some still concerns. The mayor is not here. I've been coming to these meetings for 4 years, and I think I might have seen the mayor 3 times here. Where is the mayor? That's a good question. And why do we, as you represent us, allow this to happen? He should be here in the meetings. I'm sure we're paying him with our tax money, and we have a right to ask him questions, and he's never here. Can I get an answer? Why are you allowing this?
This is a council meeting. The council agenda is set by the council president with input from council members and directors and the administration. But the mayor is not required to be at a council meeting. I'm answering your question.
Yes, I'm listening to it. I'm listening.
Okay? But he can be reached at his office through his chief of staff or directly through his office. You can reach him there. But the mayor's not required to be at our council meetings.
And Orlando, you're absolutely, if he's not required, it's just the respect of the residents for him to be here. It's to respect us, respect those who voted for him, respect those who pay for his salary. He should be here, whether he's required or not. He should have a desire to be here to hear what the residents are saying, and he's never here. There's a problem.
I will convey your comments.
There's a problem, and I think people, election time, you need to consider this. We have a mayor that's never at our meetings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Behind this, sir, with the glasses.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry to point again.
No, it's your fine. Hello, everyone. My name is George McBride. I live at 38 Edmundshire Road in Brittany Woods in Sicklerville. I'm doing good, thank you. My concerns are, well, first of all, I want to say thank you to our police department. They did a great drug bust in our area the other evening. So, except I had all the policemen out there. Thank you so much. Thank you. This seems to be, we all know Brittany Woods. It's not a really good area. We moved there in 1981. It was superb. Nothing was around us. But anyway, my concern is with our area being the way it is. At one time, when I first moved there, we used to have 40-foot dumpsters that come into our township, and we used to have an annual cleanup. I don't see it anymore. We just had the great street cleaner come through, which was nice, but there were so many parked cars that they couldn't get around. So I'm just bringing out little points that I see in my neighborhood. Like I said, I've been here since 1981. I'm retired now, which brings me to my next question about the taxes. Sorry I missed the last meeting, which was probably better than Full House than this one. Where is the tax money going to go at? I'm retired, so now I'm on a fixed income. My wife will be retired next year. So how does it affect our retirement community as far as our taxes go? I know that when we reach a certain age and we're under a certain income, we get our tax freeze. We're not there yet. So we're probably going to get this increase. So, like I said, my concerns are my neighborhood, and it's going downhill pretty fast. I don't know what we could do to help each other out with the situations at hand. I know the police department and the fire department and our volunteers, they're all good.
Mr. McBride, in the past, I know there were certain cleanups that were led by the township in that particular area, but also there was cleanups that were led by the neighborhood.
I'd like to do that again.
And the residents that lived there. So we had a resident that was here at our meeting 2 weeks ago that had asked about the street sweepers. So they go through the neighborhood?
Yeah, they bring a lot of dark cars, it was a shame.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a shame.
But as you well know, a lot of the properties there have been leased out. We have absentee landlords. And there's probably more rentals there than actual homeowners at this point. Would you agree?
Yes, it really affects our resale value. I mean, it's almost putting us on a point where we don't want to move, but we're forced to move, so now we have to go into another situation of mortgage. You know, my home is paid for right now, and I'm looking at where I might be able to go at and affordability-wise. So, like I said, I like the area. We moved here in '81, and we just watched this whole area. It's just grueling. I mean, we could talk about Valaris a little bit if you'd like. When Valaris was there, we didn't have all the housing that we had at one time. We had, you know, the whole area is just boomed. I mean, look at Cross Keys Road, it's highway. You know, it's all the food places on there. So our whole area has just grown. We moved out, there was just stop signs. It was very, very rural. So this whole area, along with so many others across the nation, they're all growing, they're all developing, and people, you know, are in transit all the time. And I just bring in little things that concern me. I used to fix the bikes for the kids in our neighborhood, and I said to them, I'll make you a deal. If you pick up the trash, Mr. McBride will help you fix your bicycles. You know what they said? We don't do that. What a shame. So it's just, Mr. McBride don't fix the bikes. Around again, I said, no, you help me pick up the trash. You won't fix your bicycles.
Is there something we could do with the CBD community block grant?
CBG money?
I mean, could we get dumpsters? Maybe.
I don't know if it extends to that area.
I mean, even if the neighborhood, we'll see how many turn out. But if we can, you know, kind of get back to that annually. The big concern, people just don't know what to do with their things. So basically, they're going to wind up on a highway. Those are the paint cans, tires, we all know that. So if we can confine that to our area, maybe we can, you know, set something up where we can add a couple of dumpsters. Those who want to participate, we used to have food and drinks at one time. If they want to get involved in that, they'll do it. I'm always constantly, you know, trying to take care of what I see. But you know, just a little thing that surpassed, and it's like, wow, how did that happen?
Can you, if you're willing, leave your number with the clerk? I think the deputy chief also wants to speak to you as well.
Mr. McBride, I just want to make sure, when you're done here, see community relations officer in the back, Benoni. And the reason I say that is that we just went through a big sweep, code enforcement, traffic. You're going to see some more improvements. I mean, when things are running through the business office and whatnot, even some traffic signs, things like that. You're aware of some of the
Prospect Road.
and but what I really want to make sure is that we have your information to connect you, because there's a lot of good people that are trying to do the same thing, and we need to like bring you together and keep you organized on our community relations, and which will help out, and then we can certainly talk further with you. Okay? So Officer Benoni in the back, make sure we have your information and whatnot. Okay?
This is my first meeting ever.
Well, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's been an enjoyable meeting everyone tonight, and hearing the input, you know, the township's doing to try to improve all the time. So thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Anyone else? Mr. Brown.
I'll get it.
You get it? Thanks.
David Brown, 5 Maple Road, Sicklerville. There's 3 things I want to bring up real quick. I know I was there at the workshop meeting last week, and we talked about the township actually buying the abandoned houses and refurbishing them to sell them for low-income housing. And I know we said there was a community that we were looking at that is already doing it, that we were going to look at that. What community was that? Pine Hill's already doing it. Have we looked at their project that they're doing and how they're doing it? Because if the house sits for a year, the mortgage company is fine. 2 years, fine goes up. 3 years, it's almost like the taxes for the year.
Pine Hill's not doing that?
Yes, they are. I talked to somebody at the tax office yesterday. Yeah, be there more than one day a week. Okay, well, past that. Besides that, we don't need to be spending any more money.
Well, that was tabled for further discussion.
Right. That's why I was saying, because you talk to people over in the tax collection office, and they'll tell you about the program that they've had for years, a couple of years that they've used. Remember about the township buying golf course, freeway golf course? Is that true or not?
No.
Okay. Do I have your word on that? Because 3 years ago, I had your word you weren't going to give a tax abatement to premium outlets, and then we gave it to them.
No. No, you were talking about a pilot. Okay, a tax abatement, they are by statute, by law, allowed to apply for a tax abatement.
Just because you're allowed to apply for it, don't mean you get it.
I don't think we have.
Statutorily, yes. We have.
I want a tax abatement then for my house. Can I get it?
No. So, going back to your question, no, not that, to my knowledge, we're not purchasing freeway
golf course. Okay.
We've been approached by Freeway Golf Course regarding open space.
Okay.
Say it again?
They've been
The township has been approached by the owners of Freeway Golf Course to maybe use Green Acres funds to purchase the golf course as open space, because we own land on either side.
Or you asked if we're purchasing.
Not the golf, not
They
the
expressed
golf
an
course.
interest. Excuse me, Mr. Heimball, I said no.
Okay, so one way or another, we're...
Mr. Heimball, keep your comments to yourself. Mr. Brown is speaking.
Okay, so
Please,
one way or another...
May I finish?
Yes.
Please refrain from making comments, Mr. Heimball.
All right, so one way or another, possibility the township's going to take over that land as open space.
This is the first time hearing about it.
I've heard about this some 2 months ago. When the taxes went up, they said they're
Mr. Brown, you
done.
can ask the question 20 different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, and I said no. Mr. Hutchins said it's the first he's heard of it. Just because someone expresses an interest to sell us a parcel of land doesn't mean we're going to purchase that land.
Right. Well, just like I said, 3 years ago, I heard the mayor said that we were going to give a tax abatement to bring premium outlets in, and I brought it up to the township. I know some of y'all weren't on the committee at the time, and they said, it was said that, no, it has not been brought up to us, and we're not doing it. Now we're doing it, and when I said that, I said, when we do it, what's going to happen? School's not going to get the money. Taxes are going to go up. Taxes for schools going up. Look what happened this year. We gave them a tax abatement. Our taxes jumped up.
Mr. Brown. Sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, if they did not come to this town, you weren't at the last council meeting, were you? Do you
No,
know how
I was
much
working
we
at my
received?
church.
Okay, wonderful. Were you aware of how much they paid in taxes for that property? The previous owners? It was farmland assessed. Are you aware? No?
No.
Less than $5,000 a year. Right now, they are paying taxes on the land, which generates $390,000 a year in taxes. They have an abatement on the improvements. January 17th, 2017, they start paying 30% of the assessment on the improvements. So they start paying on the buildings.
What's the total amount of the assessment?
Oh, it's assessed at $56 million.
So they only going to pay 30%.
It's a 5-year abatement, 30, 50, 70, 90, and then they pay full freight after year 5.
Okay. And
So are you telling me you'd rather have $5,000 in farmland assessment?
it's not farmland anymore. I'm just looking at it as, I've seen tax abatements given to companies that have came into the school programs, given the school program cars for driver's ed, giving them computers so that our taxes don't have to go up. What is Premium Outlets bringing to our community for schools? For all that.
It's a legal obligation to give the abatements. The abatements
It's not
are
legal.
They're entitled to them under state law. You can't deny them. Chuck, you're the assessor. You can't deny an abatement.
It's in a redevelopment zone, so once it was declared a redevelopment zone many, many years ago,
they are entitled to have the abatement.
And if we denied them that abatement, what would happen?
Sued. Be in court. And then have to give it to them.
And right now, with the taxes going up so much, we got foreclosures all over the place. People trying to leave. The average foreclosure in the state of New Jersey is 5.2 houses. We got 5 in my neighborhood.
I don't know what the statistics are for this town, Mr. Brown. Do you know across the town what the statistics are? Are we higher?
No, well, the state is 5.2. We got 5 in my neighborhood. I think we're higher than the state.
I can't.
And the national average is 2.9.
Are you saying that our average in this town is higher than the state average?
Yes.
Are you basing that on fact or opinion?
I'm looking at it in my neighborhood, and everybody's talking about people having to leave because they can't afford it. People pulling their kids out of the schools because they're moving. I mean, it's getting, my taxes went up $900 this year. In the last 3 years, my taxes have went up $1,400. And y'all want to blame it on one snowstorm, one windstorm. I looked up taxes in one part of Georgia this year. They had a tornado come through, damaged some 300-400 houses. Tennessee, about 5 years ago, we had a F4 on the ground for 22 miles that damaged 800 houses. You know how much our taxes went up that year? $97. And we're saying one storm of snow and one windstorm has caused our increase this much this year. Maybe we should look at not giving 2% pay raises every year, like President Obama is not giving the disabled vets. They've capped it at 1.5 that we can get every year. In the last 7 years, I've gotten 2 cost of living raises. And this year, we're looking at a 0.2% cost of living raise. Maybe we shouldn't give 2% cost of living raises every year to everybody that works in the township. Maybe we should cap it at 1.5 and start looking at that to cut taxes so we don't have this problem. It's just, I'm looking at it as trying to figure out how did our taxes go up so much in 1 year? Some states, they don't even pay $900 a year. So what's the reason ours went up 26 cents? Pine Hills went up 14. How many townships around here did their property taxes go up as much as ours?
I couldn't provide that to you, but at our last meeting, there was a graph, a pie chart that indicated where your tax dollars go towards, and 27.5 cents of your tax dollar stays here in the municipality. Out of 37 municipalities, we're ranked 23rd out of, with our tax rate in Camden County.
Out of 37?
Yes.
Wow.
23rd
Is
the
that,
lowest.
is that before this increase?
No, that is.
Mr. Mercado, did you say we're the 23rd lowest
Yes.
tax rate?
That's from information that's published.
You can have my copy if you
Okay.
like.
County taxes.
All right, I'll come up and get it after the meeting.
Correct.
All right. Well, last thing I want to say, you were saying that if you need to get in touch with the mayor, you can call him. I've called him for 3 years. I've never got a phone call back. I talked to you in April about an issue I've been trying to get to the mayor about for a year. You said you were going to have him call me the next day.
No, I
He
said
never
I would
called me.
have the public works
Right.
supervisor.
You were going to have him,
We
the
discussed
public
this
works.
We discussed this last Monday,
Well,
but
see,
I guess.
this is what I've been trying to get the mayor to do, but he will never call me back. Yeah, we discussed it, that you were going to try to get him to call me back the next day. Well, that's been since April. He still hasn't called me. So I talked to you last week. He still hasn't called me. It seems like everybody that does not make phone calls to me, including yourself, because you remember when I first moved into this township, I brought up about having a welcoming committee, a pamphlet sent out to the new people who move into the community to help them out, help them out with the things that are going on in the community, let them know what's going on, and just if they have any questions. And a member of the DNC, Amy Tarvis, Went back there and said, I need to go back where I came from. I still have not got that phone call for that apology for bullying. And you know that.
Sir, I said, if you had an issue with that particular person, then contact that person. I'm not the principal here. I'm not going to tell people.
Aren't you
to
in charge
call-
of bullying at the school, yet
Sir.
you allow it in the DNC?
Sir, do you have any more comments or questions? Your time's up.
I know my time's up. I just wanted, I do want to say one thing. I do want to apologize for saying that that was stupid earlier. I shouldn't have said that. I should have said that we should have looked at it a whole lot better before we did it. But I just want to apologize to y'all for saying that that was stupid.
Thank you for that apology. Yes, sir.
Keller, 417 Hampton Lane. Real quick, is it possible to actually get that number? You were speaking about the foreclosure rate in our township.
I don't know where. I was asking him, he was stating statistics, and I
Okay.
asked him if our numbers were disproportionately higher than the state. So I don't know that.
Is it possible to go to the state for that information?
You could find that just as easy. I bet he was quoting the numbers, so that's why I wanted to know.
My other question is it possible for us to petition or do something to get the mayor here every meeting?
This is a legislative body. I mean,
I completely understand that.
But seriously, it's a legislative body. This is our opportunity to enact legislation.
Yes.
He is part of the executive branch of government. This is our body.
But he is part-time is what you exactly
If we
spoke
need him.
15 minutes ago, correct?
If we need the executive branch, we ask the executive branch to come in.
Last meeting, was the meeting cut short last meeting from what I remember watching online? Because I was at work.
Last meeting?
Yes.
No, we went to 10:40 last meeting.
Was that the one from the week ago or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
What was the meeting they had last week? Because there was a meeting I was watching
That was a
online.
workshop. That's not
Okay.
streamlined. That's not it.
Was that cleared out if I was watching correctly?
The last meeting?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, there were people were asked to leave.
No, there was one individual that was asked to leave after he made.
Oh no,
threat.
I've been here for every meeting since then because I wish I would have known of it coming to these meetings when I moved into this township, unfortunately. But I'm asking, is there a way for us to ask the mayor to be here?
If the legislative body.
I understand what you're saying.
It's Vince, right? Yes. If we need the executive to come, we will ask the executive to come for a particular meeting. But this is our meeting.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm asking as a favor. I lived in Runnymede for 27 years. I went to my town meetings from 18 till 27 until I left that township. The mayor was at most of those meetings. I'm asking, is it a possibility to ask him? And I understand he is part-time from what you said, correct?
Mr. Keller, you can reach out to the mayor's office.
Well, I've just learned I cannot reach out to the mayor's office. So I'm asking you, cannot.
Mr. Keller, you can reach out to the mayor's office. 374-3514.
You're giving me
no, Vin, I'm telling you that.
I understand that.
If you want to petition the mayor or ask the mayor to come to the meeting.
So there's nothing my council can do.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
If you want to ask the mayor why he's not at a meeting, or want to ask the mayor to come to a meeting, then ask the mayor. You can contact his office, you can speak to him, you can request to speak to his aide, you can speak to anyone in his office.
So my council won't help me in getting the mayor here, is what you're telling me.
I will forward your comments to him.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out if comments are going to get to him because I'm learning from other.
I don't think it's appropriate for the mayor to be at the legislative meeting. This is my meeting, okay? If he comes, he can sit there, but he's not supposed to be participating in the legislative meeting.
But he's the face of our town, is he not?
Okay, and he has office hours. But this is our meeting. And I don't think it's appropriate for the mayor to come into our meeting and basically tell us what to do.
Excuse me, what was that, sir?
Said the legislative body cannot dictate to the executive body, and it really can't even dictate to directors. Mayor's requests our directors do attend our meetings, but the legislative body does not have the authority to do that under this form of government.
Why could you not have explained what he just did? Instead of just telling me politely to go screw myself and ask the mayor, please contact the mayor one night.
Mr. Keller, I didn't tell you.
You politely did, sir, yes.
Do you have any more comments, sir?
I'm like I said, so you're not willing to help me, is what you're
I
telling me.
said I would forward your comments to the mayor.
So when would I expect an
I
answer?
cannot answer why the mayor's not here. You would have to ask the mayor.
Can you answer me when I should expect an answer from the mayor, sir?
I would I would forward your information. You provide your phone number here. Would you like to speak to the mayor? Would you like him to contact you?
Gladly, yes.
Okay, then please come up here and provide your number.
Will do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll have our last speaker, Mr. Polidoro. I've extended it. It's 45 minutes.
I still had 2 minutes on the clock.
Mr. Polidoro.
Hello again, Ray Palder, Ariel. I had not intended on coming up to speak again. What fed the reason for me coming back up is Mr. Hutchinson's comments that he thinks it's inappropriate that the mayor be here. Would you call Mayor Ann Mullen inappropriate? She was here at the meetings. Yes or no?
I've never met.
Yes or no? Would that be inappropriate? I got your answer.
No, please.
Mayor Sandy Love
Okay.
was
I wanna
also the
answer your
mayor.
question. What is your
You're eating up
question?
my time.
No,
Yes or no,
fine.
please?
Okay.
Mayor Sandy Love was at all the meetings. Was she inappropriate? Yes or no?
Ray.
Mayor Cindy Hatton was also at the meetings.
No, she wasn't.
Was that?
No, she wasn't.
She was at meetings also. I can show you videotape of you arguing with her and barking at her. Yes, she was.
Every meeting. Are you really going to tell me that? You're going to sit there and tell me
Listen,
that?
there's a difference between a mayor that cares to hear the residents and ones that don't. The mayor's here to get his picture taken, and that's all. He does a beeline out that door so fast, I'm staring at him and I don't see him go through that door. That's all. That's all the people are asking. The previous mayors were not inappropriate.
I've been here since '05 when Cindy came in. Okay? I wasn't here during the other mayoral terms. I don't know what took place. So as to your first question, I don't know if they were. But I can tell you right now, since I've been on here, more times than not, the mayors have not been here.
I
that's
think
the truth.
I think there are people up here along with you, as well as Mr. Carlin, that can attest it. The 3 previous mayors that I did not refer to by first name have been to these meetings. That's my point on that. Number 2, Mr. Brown asked a question. Mr. Lechner sat over there and answered. I tried my best to hear that and couldn't. I was hoping you would ask Mr. Lechner to speak up, because I'm not sure if he referred to something that left into question as to answering Mr. Brown's question. You said no, township's not interested. What I thought I heard him say is the golf course approached the township about possibly purchasing that. I'm going to ask if you can stop the clock and have Mr. Lechner repeat what he said in front of the microphone for the people to hear. So I didn't hear it in the room, if you wouldn't mind. That's my request, if you wouldn't mind stopping the clock.
That's an administrative function. When the question was asked if we are purchasing Freeway, I said no. Okay? Because someone wants to provide, has a parcel of land. We entertain many offers during the course of the year about purchasing land from private owners. Just because they made a request or see if there's an interest doesn't mean we're purchasing land. We can start the clock.
Okay, but again, I was looking to hear Mr. Lechner's answer. I didn't hear it.
Oh, I just provided you the answer, sir.
No, he didn't.
That didn't sound like that.
He said open space. So.
That's what I didn't make out. So the answer is no, Mr. Lechner cannot speak up to the microphone. Thank you. One of the other things with the partial land that you referred to is farmland. When that land was farmland, who purchased that land as farmland?
It was 42 Associates.
Would that be part of the
LLC.
Cooper?
Yes.
Norcross Cooper network?
Cooper, yes.
Okay. They bought that for farmland. Do you remember what that property was sold at? How much? To
That
the
was
Simon
old-
Group.
That was the old Nicholson farm. Now Nichols, that's a private owner. They can sell their parcel of land to anyone they wish to. So I don't know what that dollar amount was.
What was it
Mr.
sold by
Palumbo?
from the Cooper organization?
It was sold for $13 million.
And almost immediately assessed at $11 million for the property, somewhere in and about
The
that?
land's assessed at 9.6. The land.
Okay. Now I also...
There was a rollback too of 3 years because it's farmland assessed. We were able to recoup 3 years of taxes, current plus the previous 2 years on the rollback. So we received full freight on the land.
Okay.
At assessed market value.
And I also heard a reference made to, because it was redevelopment zone, as to justifying the reason for a tax abatement. I'd like to, I don't remember exactly how this went, but what parcel of land in Gloucester Township is not redevelopment zone?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Lechner here. I believe a majority of our community is in a redevelopment area. Mr. Lechner? Hey, could you please come to the microphone? And we can stop the clock for Mr. Polidoro.
It's a difficult question to answer. All of the township is in a rehabilitation area for when we did the tax abatement, I think in 1979, but don't quote me on the exact year. So all the town is in a rehabilitation area. But there's only...
Before you go further, can you explain the difference between rehabilitation and redevelopment?
Well, it's very complicated, but in general terms, a rehabilitation area does not allow a payment in lieu of taxes and does not allow a condemnation of property, eminent domain. A redevelopment area is a different statutory process which would allow a payment in lieu of taxes pilot and the power of eminent domain, but
So which is the outlet?
the outlet is in a redevelopment area, not a rehab.
You could have done a pilot,
Yes, you could have.
and we didn't do a pilot.
To the best of my knowledge, no.
You did an abatement.
We could have done a pilot had we wanted to. We chose not to do the pilot. We did an abatement.
Well, Orlando said we did a pilot.
No, incorrect. Thank you, Mr. Polidoro. It was an abatement.
Is that really necessary, sir?
Yes, it is, because you've been doing it the whole time.
Okay, I understand. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Can please
just say-
refrain from comments, please? Thank you.
All the redevelopment areas are identified on the zoning map, which is online. So you could look at it and you could see where they're at. But there's approximately 8.
Thank you, Mr. Lechner.
The question basically was, are they overlapping? Is a majority, if not almost all of Gloucester Township also redevelopment besides the whatever it was you said, rehabilitate? I mean, theoretically, based on your description, you can get an abatement almost anywhere. You can almost get a pilot almost anywhere. The whole township is in need of something.
That's not
So by saying that, sure it is. I mean, by
You can only do a pilot in a redevelopment zone. And Mr. Lechner's saying there are redevelopment zones within the township, but they're not covering the entire township. Anybody within the township can qualify for an abatement. You're mixing the two up, right?
well, it's one or the other.
Redevelopment area is a small portion of the town overall.
How many redevelopment zones do we have in this town?
Going by memory, I think 8 redevelopment areas. Some of them are very small, like Desco is a very small area, it's 1 acre. Some of them are very large. The outlet, the interchange where the outlet is. And on the east side of 42 is the College Drive redevelopment area. So, but it's a small portion of the town overall.
Greg, can I just follow up on a question you had asked earlier? I want to ask either Ken or anybody else. The 30% of taxes for the first period, does that get allocated to the schools, the fire company, us, or is that just us?
It goes just to the township.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, Ray, you know that.
Ray, you have about 30 seconds.
All right. I guess the one thing that I wanted to say, Orlando, and I want to say this as respectfully as I can, because I
So you're going to disrespect
busted,
what you say.
busted your chops about watching Mr. Bianchini and taking a couple footnotes from Mr. Bianchini. I found it inappropriate for you to call Mr. Heinball out during this meeting. You have a gavel there, and I believe that that's what that's for, and not to call someone out. Because I think he, as much as wanted to speak, wasn't hearing Mr. Lechner as well at that period of time. I would respectfully ask you to use the
Do you
gavel
recall-
rather than call someone out.
Okay, do you recall what his comments were? What was his comments?
I didn't hear the comments,
Oh.
but No more than I could hear Mr. Lechner. That was my question. But it shouldn't make any difference as to whether you call someone out or use the gavel that Mr. Bianchini left for you.
Okay, with that, we'll close the public portion. Thank you. Polling of directors.
Mr. Lechner?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Deputy Chief Harkins?
Only wanted to thank the community council for another outstanding National Night Out. We made over 30 plus stops throughout the night. It was well organized. We had a lot of people out, great community involvement, great support shown to the police department. So I want to thank everyone for that. Thank council for joining us and making it a great evening, a great weather.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Conrad?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Curtis?
Nothing to report.
Campbell?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison?
Mr. Kelly, your comments, not to diminish anybody else's, I heard your comments. And I really do, and I can actually...
Mr. Kelly, sir.
And I can...
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir.
The way you describe what you're dealing with, you almost feel like you're there. I don't know what we're going to do, and I think I've said this to your wife. I don't know what we're going to do, but I sure as heck hope that we can find a solution for you, because I don't think I'd want to live there. There's another section of the town that I feel equally that we really need to find some way to remedy the situation for other residents in the town. And I'm not pandering to you. I really believe that, and I think everybody in the audience felt the same tonight.
Good, and I'm glad you did, because it's not only for us. I'm thinking for this whole township.
I believe that. Sincerely, I believe that. Now, as to other individuals like Ray, I enjoy the banter. It's not personal. It really isn't. I respect Mr. Polidoro. We've been going at it for quite a while. He educates me, as does Pete in some cases. Sometimes when people sit in the audience and they make gestures or they yell from the audience, it's really difficult to sit up here, because I'm human. I'm just like all of you people, and I'm disrespected sitting here. So you know what? I may lose votes in the next election, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to respect myself, and I'm going to defend myself, just as the politicians at the next level and the levels up do. But I heard what you said tonight, and I apologize for pointing at you too, but I heard it, okay?
Mrs. Stubbs?
I'd like to thank the police department for inviting council. I especially enjoyed the evening and enjoyed seeing our community work together in a positive way. I think it's essential for us to be progressive, to work together positively. There's always a way to express ourselves. And when we get too involved with the minutiae of everything, we get away from what we're here for, and focusing on situations that support staff, support people of the township. I live near Brittany Woods, so I understand, when we're concerned about our communities and maintaining them. The only way we're going to do that is to work together. I definitely, we talked about the noise. I'd like to talk a little further to see how this developed or get a little bit more information. But the whole idea is to share information, be as positive and progressive as possible, and work together instead of delving too deeply into other things where we lose sight of what we're here for and what we're trying to achieve and what people want and need. So with that, I'd like to again say thank you to the police department, and thank you everyone for coming. Have a good evening.
Mrs. Winters?
I would also like to thank the police department. National Night, it was a nice night. It always is a nice night. It was a little cooler this year, thank goodness, because the last few have been a little hot. I too heard all the comments, and I hope that we can work together as a team to make things better. I'd also like to put a shout out to the U15 USA street hockey team who had, I think it was 6 players from the township, I'm not positive of that number, but they did win the bronze medal over in Sheffield, England, about 2 weeks ago. So I just want to put a shout out to them. And thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Mrs. Trotter?
Mr. McBride, I want to say thank you for coming out. It's the last 2 meetings, Brittany Woods has been represented, and it's nice. The years that I've been involved in council, I've never seen anybody from that community come out and approach council and express their concerns. So thank you very much for bringing your concerns to our attention, and I hope with your help, the other residents, the police, and our help, that we can work together to make your community better. Keep up the good work of what you guys have started. So,
Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. And Mr. and Mrs. Kelly and the other residents, believe me, we hear what you're saying. It's just trying to figure out what our next steps can be. Someone made mention about Adelphia as well. I do live on the other side of Adelphia, so maybe like I can understand what you're saying, a small portion. I live across from Timber Creek, and on Friday and Saturday nights, boy, when that weather's nice, all we hear is up to 1, 2 a.m. is that ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. So, I mean, and that's such a small portion of what you're dealing with, but I know how I feel being awakened at 1 o'clock in the morning to that. I can only imagine, and I hope we can find some resolution. And believe me, it is a discussion we continue to have and will continue. So, and for the rest of you, I find it very disrespectful how some of you feel the need to call out. When you come up to the mic, we give you the respect and let you say what you have to say. But I think it's very disrespectful, and it's very distracting because we can hear you. And I'm trying to focus on what the person is saying at the mic, and to have the comments being blurted out in the audience and the gestures, it is very distracting, and I'm sorry, it's very rude. So if you have something to say, do what the others do. Raise your hand, come up to the mic, and say what you have to say, but I don't think it's necessary to do what you do in the audience. We're all adults here, and I think we need to all act like an adult. And as far as National Night Out, it was a great night. We appreciate being involved with the police and getting to see what the community is doing. And we had a good time meeting the residents of the township and seeing what's going on in the community. So thank you for including us in that night. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. If you have an opportunity, the athletic fields, the turf fields, have all received their COs, and our Highland Youth Soccer players, there's about 1,000 in that league, 1,000 in TBA that are playing on their fields. GT Lions and GT Stallions, roughly 450 players are playing on their field. They are open. Lacrosse and their 250 players are playing on their field. And also our hockey, ladies of our hockey, 100 ladies are now playing on their field. All open in Gloucester Township. So I want to thank those that worked closely on that. Our athletic organizations have provided us feedback on the level of play and how the field is going to help them and their organizations as they move forward. To our friends at Stonebridge Run, I'm going to stop by if you have me one day, and I'd like to sit on your deck with you if you entertain me. And I'll grab your number. I will, Miss Kelly, I have your phone number via your email, but I like to stop by and see firsthand. There's sometimes after meetings, Dan and I did this a couple of times, we'll go in, if there's a complaint about a different neighborhood, we'll drive in that neighborhood after the meeting to see what's going on in that particular neighborhood. So I think I have to experience that firsthand. So I'm not a drinker, so if you have some iced tea or some Kool-Aid or lemonade, I'll take that. Okay. Okay. All right. Also, I want to thank Mr. Van Stein, who's the president of Gloucester Township Pine Hill Rotary. Last year during the storm, June 23rd, the storm that took place here, Mr. Van Stein and his Rotarians were out passing out $100 gift cards to residents of our community. They also had assisted in raising funds for freezers, correct, Mr. Van Stein? Freezers, because there was food that was rotting. There was an opportunity, these freezers were donated to the township, to the police department. And the Rotarians meet every Wednesday at 12:15 at the Lamppost Diner. And their mission was to fight polio. But over the years, that has evolved where their mission is to do good in their community. And these are a bunch of individuals that meet each week religiously and give time of their time and efforts to our community and help assist them. If you notice, when you walk into council chambers, there is an office there with a decal there. That office is being furnished by Gloucester Township Rotarians, where they provided for furniture there, and it provides them a meeting place or office space within the township. So I want to welcome you, Mr. Van Stein and the Rotarians, and thank you for your contributions to our community and thinking of our officers and our residents. So thank you. Lastly, it is my job as council president to preside over our council meetings. As I said earlier, when the agenda is set, that agenda is sent to me Thursday before it's published and posted on our website. And there's input from council, from the administration, from directors on that agenda. And it's my responsibility to preside over our meetings on Monday nights, the first, second, and fourth meeting of the month. And whether, I heard a lot of comments about our last meeting, which it lasted 3 hours, 15 minutes, and we heard plenty of comments from our residents. And whether I lean back, or I smile, or I have a stern face, or someone shows emotions, I'm going to get ripped anyway. So I'm just going to continue to be me. And yes, if I smile, I smile. If I have a stern face, I have a stern face. But I always ask everyone to be respectful of the speakers that are up here when they come and address council. And to leave the personal attacks or the comments or the digs, leave them back there. Because it doesn't come from here. And it's a two-way street. So I appreciate that, and that's how we're going to run our meetings going forward. So I want to thank everyone for coming out. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone.
I didn't get to speak at the second portion, but this Sunday, if your babies have, we will be having history on the lawn with ice cream, and you're welcome to come out and sit with us and learn something about the